Hi guys, and thank you for joining me. Today is going to be a drummy clip. I want to talk a little bit about, and I've done this before, I know, about playing musically. And that can mean many different things. But today I want to talk about my kind of quest. And I also put this to my students and anyone that comes for lessons and at master classes and so on, that I'm always trying to be more musical in my phrasing. Now I'm going to talk about it outside of a band context. I'm going to talk about it at the moment just when I'm trying to work on my own kind of stream of thoughts when I'm playing, a bit like my rambles that I do on a Sunday. Is there some flow to what I'm doing, but is there some connection from phrase to phrase? Because remember, I like to use the term phrase rather than drum fill or pattern in these videos anyway. In a lesson, I still kind of use fill because you kind of have to, but it's what everybody knows. So, I just wanted to talk about a little bit about this today, about three different ways of, looking at this. And I'm doing it on the pad because at the moment I'm not in the studio till tomorrow. And I'm not going to have time to do it there because we have to get things recorded. And, when you think of phrasing, I think of anybody playing a melodic instrument when they're playing a solo or coming up with a riff. It has some kind of tune, obviously, melody, has a rhythm, has syncopation, and it has a beginning and an end. And you know what that is. I could sit here and sing things like Smoke on the Water or Day Tripper or anything that's got a massive riff. And you go, oh, yeah, I know that instantly. But without all those combinations, it doesn't mean anything. It'd be just like a stream of very long notes without any note value or syncopation or anything. So, this phrasing, I think, is really important for us when we're thinking of playing things on the drum set. Bush. That's a phrase. Or digga digga dugga 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 bosh. That's a phrase. It's how do we develop these things, these ideas that we have, all these rudiments, all these patterns, all these stylistic choices. So it's quite obviously, it's a vast topic. But, I've just recorded three things today on a pad, which I'll also share as a YouTube short, where I've done one where I resolve phrases. So resolving is obviously, if I went something like this, bosh, or something like that, but the actual other elements are then missing. If we know it's if it just goes ba, that's us not resolving the phrase. And please forgive my blurders and digger diggers. But that shows us maybe thinking a little bit like, well, I don't want to finish that phrase, That's a decision that I want to make and not one that's been made for me by lack of technique or by lack of musical knowledge. So when we resolve it, it's pleasing. When we reach to the end of that phrase and we play the cymbal or we're back into the song, if it's one bar drum fill or something, it's great. Imagine playing one of those more abstract or kind of resolved phrases in a classic pop song, what that would sound like. It wouldn't sit properly, it wouldn't have the flow, it wouldn't have the evenness in anything. It would just feel very kind of jagged and very wonky. So yeah, I want you to think about resolving phrases, and I'll play you a clip in a second of that. I want to get you thinking about unresolving the phrase, because that's cool too. Unresolving is kind of funky because it's kind of, you're sort of saying to someone, like if you were going to say the cat sat on the mat, it's like going the cat sat mat or something, or even getting rid of the mat at the end. It's kind of teasing somebody to, oh, you think I'm going here, but I'm not. I'm going to leave that unfinished. That's going to just stay like that. And that's how I want it to be. That is the phrase, so that's kind of cool. And then there's abstract, where you sometimes tease the listener into, yeah, you think I'm going there? You think it's going to be unresolved? Actually, I'm just going to stop right there. And, the ultimate thing would be to play nothing at all, like that John Cage piece, But yeah, so I've got these three clips. So anyway, let's firstly go to the resolve clip so you kind of get an understanding of what I'm talking about. Okay, so there you go. Everything's sort of landing on a 1. Everything fits nicely. Even if it's over 2 bars, there's an obvious resolve. You feel it's coming down here. That kind of works. Now, have a little listen to the unresolved or non-resolved phrases. Okay, so there it's kind of, I'm beginning to take you on that journey of a phrase, and then it's like, oh, but I'm not going any further. It's like going towards the edge of something, but never quite going there, and that sounds kind of cool. And you may want to, skip back on a few of them and just go through them again to make sure you're hearing it, because every time you might feel it slightly different. And another thing about the non-resolved phrases or unresolved phrases is that we can almost finish them in our heads. So again, if I go back to the blah, da, blah, da, blah, da, and I finish there, we'd go blah, da, blah, da, bush. We can't help as human beings to finish these things off tidily. That's cool. So maybe we should resist sometimes when we're improvising, not always giving the obvious thing. Right, now let's listen to the more abstract approach to this. Okay, so that's really different again. It's kind of dealing with a lot of beats that aren't there, a lot of phrases that are really kind of what I would say are jagged and unfinished. And there's some beauty in that as well. And I think all 3 of these are things that as drummers and musicians, generally, we should be aware of on our instrument. And of course, we're drummers, so we should be aware of this. So having a few practice sessions where you try the obvious kind of resolve, that's cool. We need loads of those in different forms and different styles, that's endless, so that's cool. But we also, could do with some unresolved phrases that just leave people hanging, and also some abstract ones, because you never know when they could be useful. Try these things out the next time you're on a practice pad or on the drum set. You'll be surprised what you come up with. And of course, what you need to do is record yourself and listen and watch that back to see how that goes. And you could do it without a click to start with. Then eventually, when you like some of the ideas that you've come across, you could think, right, how can I bolt them into, a tempo or a time signature? Where is that going to live? And then you can start using them in your playing and your phrasing. So as ever, thank you for watching. If you have any questions or make any comments, please put them below or send them to me in email. My email address will be at the end of this video. And as ever, thank you for liking and subscribing. I hope you're well, and I'll see you soon for the next video. Cheers.